Our mailbag segment coming up next. Email us, davidstarrpodcast@gmail.com. Also on X @starrpodcast, facebook.com/starrpodcast as well. Our questions in the inbox this week, where we allow you guys to submit questions and for our guests and for the panel each and every week. Our first question comes from Edward. Edward wants to know, Greg, we've seen you run 2 throwback paint schemes at Darlington, including the Hooters colors. How much behind the scenes happens to make sure the team and sponsors are on board for these type of deals?
There's a lot with that goes on behind the scenes, believe it or not. But I really enjoy it because about all of the sponsors typically are on board with the throwback paint schemes, and I think it just goes to show what a sponsor feels like they can get out of being associated with something like that, historical or what not, participating. And I think it just shows the fans, and the fans end up supporting and enjoying the sponsor, allowing those things to go on.
Yeah, and the thing too, Greg, we look at a lot of these paint schemes that get thrown out or thrown over the years. Like, for example, the Kyle Larson paint scheme, the Terry Labonte throwback colors. Probably not a lot of red tape, I'd imagine, to go through with Rick Hendrick owning HendrickCars.com. But I would imagine, like, okay, the Ally paint scheme came out earlier this week, and how that's throwing it back to Jimmy Johnson and maybe making the font kind of look like the Lowe's stuff. I mean, from your perspective, when you ran those throwback schemes, or when you would see that at Roush, how much do lawyers get involved? Like, is it get really sticky, or is it one of those things where it moves kind of fast?
I don't know how much goes on. I kind of know superficial. I spent a lot of time with the sponsorship people and team managers and things like that, or I guess sponsor liaison for the sponsor. And it goes up the ladder. It's got to get approvals and all those things. So how much pushback they get, I really don't know. I'll tell you what, they're very, very particular when it comes to the shape and the color of their logo, and it not has to be represented this way and that way. So I'm sure there's a lot to it when you want to go and change use a Lowe's font or something like that on an Ally car. But they recognize at the same time, I think, coming from me, small amount of business sense I have, I see participating in that, gets the fans excited about your product, not necessarily the throwback. It puts you in that category as participating in this whole thing. And I think it garners support from the broader fan base.
Another question coming in the mailbag this week. This comes from Omni. Omni wants to know, Greg, will we ever see you run the 69 car in a NASCAR race, and would NASCAR allow it?
I think NASCAR would allow it. We've seen the number before, and I certainly hope so. That is my hope, is that I'll be in the 69 car in the Cup race.
Now, let me ask you this, Greg. Obviously, all sponsors are important, but would you want something to be a play on the 69 if in a perfect scenario to be the sponsor of sorts? Like, are we talking like Trojan or something here?
Viagra? I don't know. Mark, when Mark had that sponsorship, it was nice. It's kind of entertaining to be his teammate, if you will. But no, I really don't have any. I don't have any particular things in mind. But it would just be nice if it all came together.
That was one of my favorite sponsorships of all time. Now you mentioned it, Mark Martin and Viagra. What a match made in heaven that was.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you couldn't pick a better spokesman for the thing and a driver and a team. So it was great. I hated to see that go away.
Was it any coincidence that they left shortly before David Reagan showed up? Like, I guess that wasn't going to work or something.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but it's definitely interesting.
That's great. That's great. Time for one more in the mailbag this week. This is a Facebook question from Ben. Ben wants to know, Greg, what was it like running the 44 Dodge for the Petties?
That was so much fun, and that car was so good. I'll tell you, when I've gone and run other cars for other teams, it's remarkable how good these cars are. Think about when I ran the Bruco Xfinity car. We were leading the points, and I think I'd missed a race. I'd have to go back and look at the stats, but I think I'd missed a race, meaning we weren't scheduled to run it, and I was leading the points. It's like, and then I filled in for someone in Andy Petrie's car. I'm drawing a blank at the particular moment, and Bobby Hamilton. I filled in for him at Bobby Hamilton, and we're leading at the first time I drove it, qualified third or fourth, and the Petty car was the same way. I really enjoyed driving some of these other cars I got the opportunity to, and I'll tell you what, I don't know if you haven't had the opportunity to visit with Richard Petty, and he's just an ambassador of the sport, a great person, and just stand-up guy. I really wish that I'd have run some more races for him.